It's very simple. There's three things. You just do these three things. Pay your taxes. Mind your business. And keep Will Smith's wife's name out your mouth!
Oh, wow!
When Eddie Murphy opens up about Hollywood's deep secrets, people listen. And when he drops hints about Will Smith's secret fears, particularly involving Jim Carrey, he's not just stirring up a casual celebrity story. He's peeling back layers on what could be Hollywood's darkest alliances and hidden rivalries. But what is it about Jim Carrey that makes Will Smith, one of Hollywood's biggest stars, so nervous? Could it be Carrey's raw, fearless personality? Or maybe it's his willingness to speak out about Hollywood's hidden truths? The kind of truths that make other stars keep their lips sealed? And Murphy's revelations about all this. They're explosive, turning up the spotlight on Hollywood's most guarded personalities.
Yeah, I'm 61. So you get, even if you're not trying, it's stuff that gets added to you.
Now, Jim Carrey. He's never been one to play by the rules. He's built a career on pushing boundaries, doing whatever it takes to get people talking. Just think about his unfiltered words after the 2022 Oscars when the infamous altercation between Will Smith and Chris Rock shocked the world. While Hollywood was quick to applaud Smith afterward, Carrey did something that shocked even more. He called them out for it. In interviews, he slammed Hollywood's entire response, accusing them of having no spine. He criticized their hypocrisy for applauding someone who had crossed a line, questioning the industry's very moral fiber. His words cut deep, almost like a warning for Hollywood's elite to get their act together. This move alone made Carrey not just an outlier, but an outright danger to the carefully curated images of Hollywood's biggest stars, including Smith.
There are so many surprising things in the book, but the thing that surprised me the most.
I'm going to wrap it up and just say something to all the new up-and-coming dreamers and artists that are in the room tonight.
Eddie Murphy's revelations shine a light on the deeper reasons behind Will's discomfort around Jim Carrey. Murphy alludes to more than just a simple dislike between the two stars. Carrey's vocal nature, especially his complete disregard for Hollywood's keep-it-clean rulebook, makes him a genuine risk for people like Will, who have cultivated their images with painstaking detail. Carrey's Oscar night critique seemed to cut straight into Will's own struggles to balance his image of the relatable, wholesome guy with the complicated, hidden aspects of his life. And here's the thing, Murphy hints that this tension isn't just about Jim's Oscar night statements. It's rooted in something deeper, something more unsettling, a fear that Carrey's unpredictability could eventually pull the curtain back on things Smith would rather keep locked away.
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start rolling.
Let's talk about Will's image and just how much work has gone into creating the version of him we all know today. Will isn't just a celebrity. He's a brand, and he's built that brand by following Hollywood's traditional playbook almost to a T. He rose through the ranks as a family-friendly actor, someone who could take a role in almost any genre and appeal to fans across generations. But what if, behind that bright smile, there's a side of Will that's far more complicated? Rumors have swirled for years about his private life, especially around his marriage to Jada Pinkett Smith. Their marriage, which they openly call a life partnership, seems far from traditional, and that's exactly what's fed the speculation. Some say it's a marriage that's built more on business strategy than romance, while others believe it's a front to keep certain aspects of their personal lives out of public view. The couple has openly discussed their difficulties, including Jada's so-called entanglement with singer August Alsina, sparking questions about whether their partnership has deeper secrets.
You seemed a little dazed afterwards, I'm not gonna lie.
No, I was gone, dude. That was a rage that had been bottled for a really long time.
The story of Will and Jada's marriage often gets framed as one of modern love, with each partner allowing the other to grow freely. But this public-facing version doesn't always line up with the whispers around Hollywood. Insiders say their relationship might be less about love and more about managing mutual interests in an industry where reputation is everything. Will and Jada have described their bond as something beyond traditional labels, but what does that really mean? And how does Jim Carrey fit into all this? Carrey, with his devil-may-care attitude, would be the kind of person who sees through the facade of Hollywood's so-called open marriages and isn't afraid to call them out.
I brought this subject up because there's a couple of things that really bother me here.
Carrey has long made it clear that he doesn't buy into Hollywood's glossy facade. He's spoken openly about how he feels Hollywood tries to keep people complacent, avoiding any hard truths that could shake things up. That kind of talk. It's a nightmare for people whose image depends on the very status quo that Carrey loves to rip apart. Carrey's willingness to call out the Oscar slap not only gave people pause, but possibly left Will wondering just what else Carrey might be willing to say. Carrey's brutal honesty has made him the kind of figure Hollywood doesn't know how to control, and for Will, who's trying to maintain control of his narrative, this is where the fear comes in.
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolish.
But the story doesn't stop there. To understand why Jim's candid nature could really unsettle Will, you have to dig into Will's close relationship with none other than Sean Diddy Combs. Diddy has long been known for throwing parties that are famously exclusive and, well, full of whispered rumors. These parties are often called freak parties, supposedly attended by some of Hollywood's most powerful figures, where what happens behind closed doors is never meant to see the light of day. Rumors about Diddy's gatherings have circulated for years, with former insiders hinting at a world filled with secrecy and high-stakes interactions. The whispers aren't limited to the guest list. These gatherings supposedly feature everything from non-disclosure agreements to hidden cameras, measures taken to keep certain details from escaping. And it's not just any celebrities who get invited. These are listers who know that what happens at these parties could affect their entire careers if ever exposed.
As you all know, I made a request today for what we were calling a gag order, and I'm not going to walk out of court and do anything other than live up to that.
Murphy's revelations make one wonder just how involved Will might be in these circles and what he might have to lose if Jim Carrey ever decided to publicly discuss what's been rumored for years. Will's connection with Diddy and these infamous parties takes on a whole new meaning when you consider his carefully maintained public image. For someone like Will, who spent decades building an empire on a wholesome image, even a hint of involvement in these gatherings could be reputation-shattering. And Carrey, he's the kind of person who wouldn't shy away from spilling secrets if it suited him. Jim's disdain for Hollywood's hypocrisy means he's more than capable of exposing its most protected secrets. And it's this very willingness to be vocal that could be the most significant threat Will has ever faced.
The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on side watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after 2 judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from workers very soon. Good day, Lizette.
Murphy's insights also touch on Will's struggle to keep his private life separate from his public persona. Hollywood's open secrets often involve relationships that are less about romance and more about power, control, and mutual benefit. This brings us back to Will and Jada's marriage, which has become something of an industry legend for its apparent openness. The term lavender marriage often pops up in these conversations, suggesting that high-profile couples maintain public relationships to protect their careers while the real details are kept hidden. With their many life partnership statements, Will and Jada are no strangers to this kind of speculation. It's no secret that they've faced questions about the dynamics of their relationship for years, especially since Jada's entanglement became public. But there's a layer of mystery that goes even deeper, one that's fueled by their repeated statements about life partnerships and mutual understanding.
Well, Jada Pinkett Smith drops a bombshell. Apparently, she and her husband, Will Smith, haven't been together for 7 years.
The Smiths have addressed these rumors, but only in ways that keep the public guessing. Jada's Red Table Talk discussions have hinted at truths without fully revealing them, and Will has often sidestepped direct questions, choosing to focus on the family they've built together rather than diving into the specifics of their arrangement. This calculated ambiguity allows them to control their narrative, at least to an extent. But what happens if Carrey, with his uncensored approach, decides to speak up? If he were to pull back the curtain on Hollywood's secretive relationships, it could throw Will and Jada's entire arrangement into a very public spotlight, forcing them to address rumors they've worked so hard to keep on the sidelines.
Yeah, and let me just say this. It's ridiculous.
Carrey's image as the wild card of Hollywood places him in a position where he can speak truths that others shy away from. He's more than capable of stirring up trouble for those who prefer to keep their secrets locked away. For stars like Will, who've spent years cultivating a certain image, this unpredictability from Carrey represents a real risk. Will's fear, then, isn't just about Jim's personal dislike for Hollywood's hypocrisy. It's about the chance that Carrey could decide to bring hidden truths into the public eye, truths that people like Will and his associates would rather leave buried.
Will was bent over on the couch and Dwayne was standing up on him. Like, it was in there.
This is the dark edge of Hollywood that Murphy is hinting at, an industry where relationships are shaped by what's at stake rather than simple affection. Hollywood thrives on these kinds of alliances, partnerships that go beyond romance and often serve to keep reputations intact. Will's friendship with Diddy, Jada's openness about entanglements, and Carrey's no-nonsense approach to calling out Hollywood are all pieces of a much bigger puzzle. Murphy's revelations suggest that Will's fear of Carrey isn't about a rivalry over movie roles or status, but a fear of exposure, of losing control over the image he's carefully constructed.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
At the heart of this tension lies the question, what would happen if Carrey were to let loose, revealing what he's seen or heard over the years? Hollywood is known for maintaining a united front, but Carrey's disdain for this unity makes him an outsider willing to speak his mind, even if it means turning the spotlight on Hollywood's darkest corners. His willingness to criticize the Oscars, to publicly denounce Hollywood's double standards, shows that he's not bound by the same rules that other stars follow. And for Will, that makes Carrey the most unpredictable and potentially dangerous figure he's ever had to face.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
As Murphy draws us further into this narrative, the stakes continue to rise. We're not just looking at a Hollywood rivalry, we're looking at a potential unraveling of alliances that have held Hollywood secrets for decades. Will's discomfort around Carrey might be rooted in something far deeper, a fear of what happens if Carrey decides to stop playing by Hollywood's unspoken rules altogether. If there's one person who could expose the carefully maintained image of Will Smith, it's Jim Carrey, and that possibility alone is enough to keep Hollywood watching, waiting, and, in Will's case, fearing what might come next. This tension, then, leads us straight into the bigger question of what Jim Carrey represents, a figure unafraid to shine a light on Hollywood's darkest secrets, and the reason why Will Smith might be more than a little nervous about what Carrey could reveal. As we dive into the next part, the web of alliances, hidden truths, and Hollywood's concealed underbelly only gets more tangled. What secrets lie just below the surface, waiting for someone like Carrey to bring them to light? And what will happen to Hollywood's elite if the truth finally comes out? Jim Carrey's fearlessness isn't just making waves. It's digging up secrets that Hollywood's elite, especially people like Will Smith, would rather keep buried. And when seeing Diddy Combs got hit with serious legal trouble, Carrey's role as a Hollywood disruptor took on a whole new edge. Imagine it, Diddy, one of the industry's biggest players who has been at the top for decades, now faces a whirlwind of allegations, raids, and rumors about his exclusive gatherings. Known for hosting secretive events, Diddy's arrest on charges related to high-stakes property theft and murky accusations has become the latest talk in Hollywood, and Will Smith's rumored connection to all of this only makes it juicier.
Those situations lend to maybe some issues with tampering. And I do feel like there are victims who are scared to come forward, including my client. She was very nervous about if he was going to get bail this week. And once I told her, and then come after people, including her and some of the other individuals. And she was very relieved when he did not receive.
Let's break down Diddy's recent arrest and the chaos surrounding it. He was reportedly booked on a third-degree felony charge for theft of property valued between $30,000 and $150,000. Now, the details surrounding this charge are vague and mysterious. But sources close to the case suggest that it could be tied to his reputation for hosting notorious gatherings involving high-profile celebrities, some of whom have been linked to activities that thrive on secrecy and a strict no-questions-asked policy. The charge alone was enough to set off a storm in the entertainment world where rumors about Diddy's lifestyle have always had a dark edge, and many wonder if there's more to this case than meets the eye.
Now, if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
While some speculate that the arrest relates to an unreturned U-Haul vehicle, this small detail is almost overshadowed by the long history of rumors and conspiracy theories around Diddy's private life and his infamous freak parties. Attendees at these events are said to include the most powerful names in entertainment, all bound by strict NDAs, ensuring that what happens there stays there, and it's exactly the kind of thing someone like Carrey would love to blow the whistle on. Unlike most Hollywood stars, Carrey has no hesitation about calling out the industry's underbelly, and his relentless critiques suggest he's not afraid to take down on anyone involved in these exclusive circles.
Yeah, that's trying a criminal case in the modern times. A lot of evidence is on electronic devices, cell phone, tablets, computers, things of that nature. And the devices, especially if you have like external hard drives, 90-something terabytes of data on a single device makes me think some type of hard drive. That takes weeks to go through just for one device on its own.
Diddy's legal troubles have brought new scrutiny to his reputation. For years, stories have circulated about the hidden cameras rumored to be planted in his homes and party venues, allegedly capturing guests in compromising situations. And these aren't just any guests. They're some of Hollywood's biggest stars, including rumored attendees like Will Smith. Now, we're talking about footage that could blow up careers, destroy images, and unmask what Hollywood's elite have tried so hard to keep hidden. And this alleged evidence could be the real reason why Will and other stars are scrambling to distance themselves from the drama.
And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
Will Smith's link to Diddy and his infamous gatherings is hardly new in Hollywood gossip circles. In the past, both he and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith have been rumored to frequent some of these exclusive events. While the couple has always maintained a carefully curated public image, the connection to Diddy's parties has fueled endless speculation, especially given the unconventional aspects of their marriage that they've openly discussed on platforms like Red Table Talk. Many insiders hint that the secrecy surrounding Diddy's gatherings and Will's potential presence at these parties hint at connections far deeper and more complex than most people realize.
Big news here. The Academy Board of Governors banning Will Smith from all Academy events for 10 years, a decade.
One of the biggest shocks came from former insiders who allege that Diddy's gatherings go beyond the typical Hollywood party scene. These gatherings are rumored to be well-organized events where guests are promised confidentiality and allegedly freedom from judgment or consequence. Jaguar Wright, a former insider, once hinted that what happened at these parties was a deliberate exercise in secrecy, where high-profile attendees would feel free to act without consequence. And if this level of confidentiality was guaranteed, then it's no wonder that names like Will Smith might surface in connection with these gatherings, given his long-standing friendship with Diddy and the Hollywood network they both share.
I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk.
The real kicker, Diddy's arrest has sparked a chain reaction, causing other celebrities connected to him to come under intense public scrutiny. And with Diddy's properties being raided in what some sources speculate could be related to trafficking allegations, even more attention is being drawn to those rumored to be associated with him. Reports have suggested that law enforcement conducted these raids to look into claims about private events, gatherings, and the high-profile people in attendance. The speculations around these charges are quickly turning Diddy's case into a potential Hollywood scandal of epic proportions. And for people like Will, whose image has always leaned toward family-friendly, any hint of connection to these allegations could be disastrous.
The special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
Will Smith's connection to Diddy is said to have started years ago when the two began running in similar entertainment circles. They share more than just fame. They share mutual friends, industry connections, and a history of working together on various projects. But Diddy's arrest has pushed these connections into the spotlight in a way that leaves little room for brushing things off. In an industry where association is everything, any hint of a link to these allegations risks tainting even the most carefully crafted reputations. And for Will, who has had his share of public controversies recently, this connection to Diddy could bring him a kind of scrutiny he's been actively trying to avoid.
Well, you got to do your due diligence, and his team should have did the due diligence. And a lot of times, people do slip through the cracks. There's things that you don't see and don't find out until later on. But I mean, when people are making claims like the way people are making claims, you have to do your due diligence to make sure that if you're having that person on your platform, which is a huge platform, that you're putting out the proper and correct news.
What makes this all the more compelling is that Carrey's outspoken attitude has made him the kind of person who could tip the scales, pushing even the most powerful in Hollywood to face accountability. Carrey's previous statements about Hollywood's spineless nature and his willingness to criticize the industry are more than just words, they're actions. And now, with Diddy facing legal trouble and possibly even more serious investigations on the horizon, Carrey's critiques feel less like entertainment and more like foreshadowing of a reckoning Hollywood isn't ready for. If Carrey decided to use his platform to spotlight these gatherings and those connected to them, it could be the spark that sets off a much bigger scandal.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
As for Will Smith, he's probably acutely aware of what's at stake here. If he does have any link to Diddy's private gatherings, even by association, it could place him under a harsh spotlight. Will's recent controversies, from his personal revelations with Jada to the high-profile slap at the Oscars, have already shaken his public image. Adding a connection to Diddy's spiraling legal issues could add fuel to the fire, pushing his reputation into territory he might not be able to recover from. And with Jim Carrey's growing influence as Hollywood's unofficial truth teller, Will's association with Diddy has gone from mere rumor to something far more troubling.
Lessons: pay your taxes, mind your business, and keep Will Smith.
Will Smith's wife's name out your
Ultimately, what makes all of this so fascinating is the way it reveals Hollywood's double life, the public image we see and the hidden world that lies beneath. Diddy's parties, the whispers of hidden cameras, and the VIP guest lists that allegedly include top stars all point to an entertainment world built on secrecy, influence, and alliances that protect the powerful. And now, with someone as bold as Jim Carrey willing to confront this hidden side, it's no surprise that celebrities like Will might be feeling uneasy. For years, the Smiths have carefully walked a line between public transparency and hidden truths, sharing parts of their lives while keeping other details fiercely private. But Diddy's arrest, Carrey's willingness to call out Hollywood, and the growing pressure for transparency mean that the era of carefully crafted images might be coming to an end. So what will happen next? With Diddy's legal troubles far from over and Carrey continuing his critiques of Hollywood, we're left wondering if this is just the beginning of a much larger reckoning for the entertainment world. Will Smith and others connected to Diddy face the same scrutiny? Will Carrey go even further, using his platform to expose what Hollywood's power players have worked so hard to hide? Hollywood is watching, and so is the rest of the world, as these questions hang in the balance. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.